Looking back over the last 5 years, we have so much to thank God for. I am amazed at what God has accomplished here in our Southwest Regional Office. Our initial vision was just to reach out and impact families in need in San Antonio, but God has opened doors for us to train and equip churches all across the state, in adjoining states, and we're even shipping containers internationally to impact children and families in need. And when I think back for the vision of how this all started, it really dates back to about 10 years ago in 2004, when we began praying about regional expansion. How could we most effectively benefit the work of the local church in places like Texas? And it was through that process that we also began to look internally. What relationships did we hold? And that's where we turned to Michael Richards. Michael had been on our staff for 10 years. He and Carrie were deeply committed to CHF and to what we represented, but they also had a heart to relocate and go to Texas. So we approached Michael, and through a lot of prayer, Michael began to serve as our first and only executive director for the Southwest region here in San Antonio. And under his leadership, God has done some amazing things, and we're excited about what the future holds.
In 2005, we partnered with CBC. There was Hurricane Katrina that happened in the Gulf and hit the Gulf Coast really hard, obviously New Orleans. And so we worked with Community Bible Church for about 6 months, providing mattresses, food, cleaning supplies, clothing, all the basic resources that we could get our hands on. And we shipped those all to San Antonio. And CBC distributed those to apartment complexes that were filled with essentially refugees from the Houston area. But it wasn't our time yet. We weren't ready to do anything beyond that. So we told CBC, we're going to be done for now, but if there's any way we could help, let us know. And in 2006, the church set out to have a great day of service in San Antonio. So what it was a collection of churches that they were rallying to just minister to San Antonio. So I believe it was 15 to 20 churches that gathered together. They collected resources to give to the community on one day. And so food packs were a part of that. So Community Bible Church helped fill a couple thousand food packs. And so they went out and just ministered on one day throughout the entire community. We began to pray specifically about expanding into Texas in late 2007 and early 2008. We had just opened up the Chicago office in 2006, and that kind of launched us into this idea of becoming more than just an LA-based organization, that we could maybe have a national vision. And so we really started to evaluate, what the Lord was asking us to do, where He was calling us to go. And so we looked at Dallas, we looked at San Antonio, we looked at Houston, but it was as clear as could be that San Antonio was where all of our relationships were, between Community Bible Church, between all the USANA distributors that were there that were supporting the Ministry of Children's Hunger Fund, and then everybody else that we had met along the way was in San Antonio. October of 2008, Dave Phillips and myself, we came to San Antonio for the first time together to start to look at building relationships in San Antonio. And so one of the guys that had set up a meeting was Donnie Lawrence. Donnie had participated in the Great Day of Service with Community Bible Church, but he was a member of Oak Hills Church. Now, the beautiful thing here is that we didn't have a building, we didn't have a facility, we didn't have a staff, but we had a meeting with Oak Hills. And so we came in and sat down, and I think most of the elder board was there. Randy Frazee was there. We come in, and Dave presented the Ministry of Children's Hunger Fund, and you could just see Randy Frazee, who had this twinkle in his eye, like he knew something was happening. We left that meeting encouraged that the meeting went well, that they liked us. So we came back in November of 2008. And it was at that meeting that Randy Frazee mentioned that they were doing an all-church gathering at the AT&T Center. Michael W. Smith was going to be leading worship, but that they wanted to fill 10,000 food packs. Now, again, to put that in perspective, 10,000 food packs was more food packs than Los Angeles and Chicago, the previous 2 years combined, had filled. And so we're talking about one church, one moment, one event filling more than the last 2 years. In December of 2008, we hired Paul Ryan, who was our first staff person on the team with us in San Antonio.
The first staff meeting was Michael and I meeting in his living room with our ears down to his, it must have been first generation iPhone, which, let me just tell you, was not designed for a conference call.
In March of 2009, we found the facility that we would lease for 5 years. It was big, it was beautiful. It had 7 dock doors that had levelers on them already. We had one dock door that was drive-in so the churches could pull into the warehouse. 2009 was a great year. We signed a lease on our building. We hired Charlene Webster. We hired Steve Huerta. At that point, it was myself, Char, Steve, and Paul that were there daily doing the ministry.
I actually heard Dave Phillips speak for the first time in 2002. And at that point, Richard and I had not been seeking any type of ministry that we could donate to outside of our local church. And we went home and did our due diligence after hearing Dave speak, and in 2002 became a donor. And when they opened a distribution center here in 2009, 7 years later, it was wonderful to be on staff and know that the integrity that I thought they had as an outside donor was the integrity that they held closely to as a staff person on the inside.
When I started with Children's Hunger Fund 5 years ago, really things didn't start out slow.
With our new team assembled, we came out of the gates running with the Bigger Than You event at the AT&T Center. And so there was 14,000 people there, stepping back and looking. This is the AT&T Center. This is the Spurs. We had Max Lucado and Randy Frazee up there holding a food pack on stage, challenging the congregation to fill 10,000 food packs, which would provide, I think at the time we were talking about 250,000 meals to families in San Antonio. And so the relationships that were built out of that effort continue today.
I first found out about CHF through my church. We had an entire church gathering at the AT&T Center, and that's when our church first presented about CHF and food packs and that sort of thing. And so pretty much right after that, I started volunteering here, sorting through the food packs that our church had donated here locally. And then from that, I just kind of helped out whenever they had volunteer days, whether it was a toy wrap or sorting food boxes or packing food boxes at our church.
Jump into 2010 in April, CBC was back. They had come out the previous November, but in April they came out. I think they came out with close to 300 people, and so we set up a quadruple food pack line, and at the time, I believe we set the record for building 4,009 food packs in one 3-hour session, and so it was a thing of beauty. It was absolutely amazing to see the energy, the joy with which people were serving. Those volunteers and these big events started leading us to the point of where we couldn't do it ourselves anymore, and so we needed help. And so on June 1st, we hired Jesse Reyes, and so Jesse came in and became our volunteer superhero. I mean, he was there setting up for all these events, setting up for these big work days, and taking care of all of our needs.
The relationship I've built with Jesse, we just bonded. He explained the ministry to me, and we just started building a personal relationship.
We all came and brought our kids, and everybody loved it. A lot of it was that there was a variety of ages, from kindergarten to high school, and everyone had a job the whole time. No one was just sitting in the corner or couldn't do something. Jesse had something for every single person to do.
I would tell anybody that wants to volunteer, sometimes just different jobs around the house, it's work, but this is fun work. I love coming here and just helping and volunteering with all the stuff we can do.
Their mission statement, deliver hope to suffering children by equipping local churches for gospel-centered mercy ministry, and what they stand for, being able to come here and to fulfill that mission statement, it's a great place to do that.
I feel that God has put me here, and it's been some place that I can bear fruit for the Lord and serve others, and be a part of sharing the gospel in some small way, and feeding hungry children. I know what that's like. I'm from here in San Antonio, and there was a period during my life where I was a hungry child, and I know what that feels like.
That January, there was the devastating earthquake in Haiti that killed hundreds of thousands of people. And going back to my original prayer of when we were given that building by the Lord, this incredible facility, we wanted to use it, and we were taxed. And so during that earthquake, we were able to ship 30 containers directly to the relief effort there. Hundreds of volunteers to process food packs, to pack water filtration kits. We sorted socks and clothing and medical supplies, and 30 containers worth. It was the one time I've seen that warehouse really bursting at the seams with product, and I was so thankful again that the Lord would use that facility for something like that. Later that year, in October of 2010, we held our first ever Children's Champion Award banquet in San Antonio. And we had a Widow's Mite Award. We honored a gentleman and his wife. Their names were Frankie and Taylor Rodriguez. They had attended Oak Hills and had really embraced the vision of a food pack and what it could mean. And so Taylor and Frankie were living off of a food pack for an entire month, and so they would take their extra grocery money and donate it to CHF. And so we just honored them and recognized them for that fact, that they were living sacrificially, that they were willing to deny themselves at least even basic grocery items that they would normally eat, but to truly try to, I think they were also trying to see if it worked, and they were able to do that for an entire month. It's really just a glimpse into the future, because in February of 2014 we hired Frankie full-time to be our warehouse assistant, to help us with all of our volunteer efforts, to help us with all our growing church base that we were supporting. And so he was just an incredible blessing in addition to the team. In 2011, we started working in the Dallas area, and very quickly we met Pastor Troy Wehrman from Gateway Church. Gateway Church is a large congregational church that has 5 campuses in the Dallas area. The first year we met them, they filled 3,000 food packs for us.
After I heard CHF's vision and the way they worked, and just the professionalism and the pure heart of Steve, I knew that this was a ministry that we want to get involved with. We want the church to be uplifted in anything that we do, so that God is glorified. CHF has the model to do that. As a resource church, we're not always in the underserved communities of our area. And so we feel confident that as a resource church, that the food packs will get to a recipient church in the underserved communities, and that those recipient churches are trained to go door to door to create relationship with the people in their homes. Therefore, bringing the church to the people, creating relationship, and therefore the people coming to the church. And that's what we're all about, because Gateway, what our motto is, we're all about people. And this model supports that totally.
That kind of gave us a vision for Dallas, which was just an incredible blessing in and of itself. We had a nutritional company that was willing to give us space, to allow us to store food packs, to host toy wraps.
I think my most memorable time of the year is the Christmas season, when every year we are able to host a Children's Hunger Fund toy drive, where we have over 300 people in attendance. We have the mayor of Carrollton in attendance with his entire family. We have kids, adults, grandparents. I mean, I can't even tell you how satisfying and rewarding that is at the time of the year, just giving.
By and large, from 2009 to 2011, we were working with either English-speaking churches or bilingual churches. That was our limitations. Paul had a big heart but didn't speak Spanish, and so really we learned very, very quickly that we had to have a Spanish-speaking pastor on our team in order to be successful in San Antonio. And so in September of 2012, the Lord brought us Carlos Areta. Carlos had spent 25 years as a church planner down in the valley from Laredo to McAllen, planning churches. And so he had come to us with just this incredible relational history. And it was from September of 2012 to October of 2013 that we doubled in size. And that was what we called the Carlos effect.
He estado trabajando con el programa Children Hungry Fund por alrededor de 8 meses y estamos teniendo muy buenos resultados. Todo comenzó después que conocí al pastor Carlos Ireta. Me involucré en el programa de Children Hungry Fund porque vi la necesidad en la gente y tenía una oportunidad de poderles proveer alimentos a los necesitados, pero al mismo tiempo suplir la necesidad más profunda de ellos, como es la evangelización.
In 2012, we were introduced to La Madeleine Country French Cafe through a mutual banking relationship that each one of us had. Through that effort, we've opened 25 cafes and have received probably upwards of $50,000 or $60,000 through that, and that's just one aspect. Then they did a 1-month soup promotion where they gave us $1 for every jar of soup that was sold.
We're really proud to stand behind an organization that's doing so much work with so little. And our employees are grateful that we're giving back. And hunger is something that touches the world, and we're in the restaurant business, and it just really ties into what we feel we can make a difference in.
In summer of 2012, we started to have meetings with Oak Hills Church again. They wanted to build 10,000 food packs. They wanted to provide the funding for all those food packs that we were going to build. I said, oh, great, we could do this campus here, and we could do this campus here, and we could do this campus 2 weeks later. And Pastor Randy said, no, I want to do it all in one day. And so we really were challenged to figure out how to make that happen. But on a very cold day, I think we started off the day below freezing in January of 2013. We had teams at 5 different campuses across San Antonio, one even out as far as Fredericksburg. And in one morning, we built 10,101 food packs. And so that brings us to current day, which is Houston. In May of 2013, we did our first Rethink Mercy in Houston. Houston is a international melting pot. There's a ton of refugees that are there. It's a very diverse community, and so we have an opportunity to reach a very wide array of people groups.
The cities in Texas are changing. We're getting people from all over the world. We minister to Hindus, Buddhists, Muslims, many nations. And they will keep coming, they will keep growing. Many of them come with a lot of needs, physical needs. Many of them come with the clothing that they have on, and that's it. But also they need Jesus, they need the gospel. So the more time goes by, the more we'll see changes in the demographics. It's always good for any church, for any pastor, for any people ministering to the community to have resources. And the food packs is a resource. But then I was really blessed with the way that Children's Hunger Fund present that part of the ministry, which is a holistic ministry, an integral ministry, ministering to the whole need of the person, and not just giving food away for the sake of giving food, but to really present the gospel and help people in need to be able to stand by themselves eventually as they get discipled.
In May of 2013, there was a devastating tornado that went through Moore, Oklahoma. Up until then, we had only worked in Texas, and so this was an opportunity for us to equip and resource our brothers and sisters in Oklahoma to reach out to those that were devastated by the tornado. We had a few relationships that we could call upon. Over the course of the next several weeks, we provided, I think, 6 or 7 truckloads of relief items. It was the most devastating scene I had ever witnessed, but one thing that came clear was the work of the local church and the importance of the local church in times like this. In April of 2014, we welcomed Mario Ruby to the team, moving from Southern California to San Antonio. Mario was just an incredible fit for our team. He was uniquely gifted in that he was able to teach in English and in Spanish, and so he was a great complement to our team.
I stay a part of Children's Hunger Fund because I believe in the mission and the vision of what we are about. And that's equipping the local church in order to share and further the gospel.
Michael's a good leader, and he's exactly what we need here at Southwest as a key leader. So it's been exciting to watch him grow along with the organization, and Lord willing, I look forward to many years of working alongside with him.
Yeah, if you would have told me going into it, what the last 5 years would have been like, I don't think I would have believed you, because it's been the most fun, the most incredible journey that I've ever been a part of in terms of anything outside of my own family. Just the blessings we've received, the relationships that we've built, the opportunities we've been given, the privilege we've been given, and we've worked incredibly hard over the last 5 years, but we've been incredibly blessed. If you would have told me in 5 years we would be in Tulsa, in Sherman, in Dallas, in Houston, in Laredo, in San Antonio, in Austin, in McAllen, in Matamoros, in Monclova, I wouldn't have believed you. I wouldn't have thought that would have been possible in 5 short years, but we're doing it. We have over 84 churches now doing active food pack ministry, and that's a number that's going to continue to grow. I have every reason to believe, that the next 5 years are going to be even more amazing, more incredible. Who knows where we'll be in 5 more years. Thank you for your support. You guys have just blessed us incredibly. Everyone in this room has been a gift and a blessing from the Lord to me and to my family, and so we're grateful that you're here.